Two men, walking away from Jerusalem, step by step leaving something behind, not just a city, but a story they believed would change everything. Just days earlier, they had followed him, listened to him, watched him do things no one could explain. They believed he was the one, the promised one, the one who would restore hope. But now, he was gone, executed, buried, and whatever they had hoped for felt like it had died with him. So they walked, not towards something, but away from the confusion, away from the disappointment, away from a story that no longer made sense. And yet, they were not alone, because someone was walking beside them, close enough to hear every word, close enough to understand their pain. A stranger. Or at least, that's what they thought, because the one walking with them was the very person they were talking about, alive, risen, present. And they had no idea. And as they walked, they began to talk about everything. Everything that had happened in the last few days. Jerusalem had been full, crowded with pilgrims. Expectations were high. There was tension in the air, because something was unfolding, something bigger than anyone could fully understand. They had seen him, Jesus of Nazareth, teaching, healing, challenging the powerful. And for a moment, it felt like everything was about to change. But then it all collapsed. The arrest, the trial, the silence of the night, and the sound of a crowd choosing Barabbas. They had watched him suffer, watched him carry the cross, watched him die, and with him, their expectations died too. What they thought would be victory ended in defeat. What they thought would be the beginning felt like the end. And now, there were rumors, strange reports, whispers spreading through the city, women saying the tomb was empty, that they had seen something. Angels, a message that he was alive. Some had gone to check, and yes, the tomb was empty. But him, they had not seen, and so the questions remained. Was it true? Was it possible? Or was it just grief trying to hold on to hope? As they walked that road to Emmaus, they were not just leaving Jerusalem. They were leaving behind a story. They no longer knew how to believe. And as they tried to make sense of it all, someone drew near. At first, just another traveler on the road. Nothing unusual, nothing that demanded attention. He simply joined them, walking at their pace, matching their steps, close enough to hear what they were saying. And then he spoke. A simple question. What are you discussing as you walk along? The two men stopped. Their conversation paused, and for a moment, they just looked at him, confused, almost surprised. How can you not know? Are you the only one visiting Jerusalem? Who doesn't know the things that have happened there in these days? To them, this was not just news, it was everything. Everyone knew, everyone had seen, everyone had heard, but this man, this stranger, seemed unaware. And so they began to explain, carefully, emotionally, trying to put into words what they themselves barely understood. They spoke about Jesus, a prophet, powerful in word and deed, before God and all the people. They spoke about the leaders, the arrest, the condemnation, the crucifixion, and then, almost hesitantly, they said it. We had hoped. He was the one to redeem Israel, the one to change everything. But hope had turned into confusion, because now it was the third day, and everything felt uncertain. They spoke of the women, of the empty tomb, of the strange message, that he was alive. But even as they said it, you could hear it in their voice. They weren't sure, not fully, not yet. And all the while, the stranger listened, patiently, quietly, not interrupting, not correcting, just walking beside them, hearing their disappointment, their doubt, their broken expectations, because what they didn't realize was that the answer to everything they were saying was walking right beside them. And then the stranger began to speak, not with hesitation, Not with uncertainty, but with clarity, with authority, as if he wasn't trying to figure things out, but revealing something that had always been there. He looked at them and gently challenged their understanding. How slow you are to believe all that the prophets have spoken, not as an insult, but as an invitation to see what they had missed, because everything they were confused about had already been written. Long before that road, long before that moment, it was all there in the scriptures, and so step by step, he began to explain, starting with Moses, the earliest writings, the foundation of everything they believed, then moving through the prophets, piece by piece, passage by passage, connecting what once seemed separate, revealing a pattern they had never fully seen, that the Messiah was not only meant to reign, but to suffer, not only to conquer, but to be rejected, not only to live, but to die, and then to rise. What had once seemed like contradiction began to make sense. What had felt like failure began to look like purpose. And as he spoke, something began to change inside them. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but deeply, quietly. Their confusion started to fade. Their doubt began to loosen. And in its place, something else appeared. Understanding, clarity, a sense that everything was falling into place. As if the story they thought had ended was actually unfolding exactly as it was meant to. And yet, even as truth stood before them, even as the answer walked beside them, they still did not recognize him. There was something giddy about the way he spoke, not just the words but the weight behind them, the clarity, the depth, as if every sentence carried truth they had always known, but never fully understood. And as they listened, something began to happen. Not around them, but within them. A quiet shift. Subtle at first, almost impossible to describe. Their thoughts began to settle. The confusion that had followed them from Jerusalem started to loosen its grip. And in its place, something else emerged. Not certainty, not yet, but something close. A sense that what they were hearing was real, that it mattered, that it was true. And then they felt it, not in their minds, but in their hearts. A fire, not one that burned with fear, but one that awakened something deeper. A recognition without understanding, a connection without clarity, as if truth itself was moving through them, alive. And even though they still did not know who he was, they knew this. This was not ordinary. This moment, this conversation, this presence was different. It stayed with them. It stirred something they could not ignore, something they would only understand later. And just as they began to feel it, the road came to an end. In the distance, the village appeared, Emmaus, quiet, still, unremarkable, just a place to rest, a place to stop walking. But something inside them did not want the moment to end. The stranger continued forward, as if he would keep going, as if this was where their paths would separate. And for a brief second, they had a choice: to let him go, to return to silence, to go back to not knowing. But they didn't, because whatever they had felt along that road was too real to ignore. So they spoke. "Stay with us. It's nearly evening. The day is almost over." Simple words, but filled with something deeper, a request, not just for company, but for presence, for continuation, for more. And he accepted, without hesitation, without explanation. He entered with them, into a small home, a simple space, no crowd, no noise, just a table, bread, and 3 men sitting together. The conversation slowed, the movement stopped, and everything became still. But this time, it was a different kind of silence, not empty, not uncertain, but full, as if something was about to happen, something final, something that would change everything they had just experienced. And in that quiet moment, everything changed. They sat at the table, the stranger, now no longer walking beside them, but sitting with them, close, present, real. There were no crowds, no noise, no distractions, just a simple meal, bread placed at the center. And then he reached for it, not hurried, not uncertain, but with intention, familiar, deliberate. He took the bread, paused, lifted it slightly, and gave thanks. A simple act, one they had seen before, many times. Then he broke it. And as he did, something happened, not outside, not around them, but within them. Their eyes were opened in an instant. Recognition, clarity, understanding. Everything came together. The voice, the words, the way he spoke, the presence they had felt on the road. It was him, Jesus, alive, risen. Not a stranger, not a traveler, but the one they had been walking with the entire time. And just as suddenly, he was gone. No movement, no explanation, no transition. One moment, there, the next, invisible, leaving behind only the realization. And in that moment, they understood everything, not just what had happened at the table, but what had been happening all along. The road, the conversation, the questions, the confusion. He had been there, walking with them, speaking to them, revealing the truth, step by step. And they hadn't seen it, not because it wasn't real, but because they weren't ready to recognize it. And suddenly, everything made sense. The weight they had felt, the clarity that had begun to grow, the fire in their hearts. It wasn't just emotion, it was truth, alive, moving, reaching them before they could even understand it. And maybe that's what this story is really about. Not just a road, not just a moment, but a reality. That even when we don't recognize it, we are not alone. That even in confusion, in disappointment, in unanswered questions, something is happening, something greater, walking beside us, speaking to us, calling us to understand what we cannot yet see, because the resurrection was never meant to be distant. It was meant to be experienced, not only in history, but in the present, in quiet moments, in unexpected conversations, in the places where hope feels lost but truth is still near. The men on the road to Emmaus thought they were leaving the story behind, but the story was walking with them. And maybe it's walking with us too. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe those men truly walked with Jesus without recognizing him? Have you ever experienced something that only made sense later? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to explore the Bible through history, faith, and powerful stories, subscribe to Ancient Bible Lands, because sometimes the truth is closer than we think.